Welcome. I'm Jonita Stanton. We have Reginald Perryman, Shaka Williams. We are Tasari, and this is the There's Something About Real Estate podcast where we talk all things real estate. And we have with us today Miss Erica Simpson, Mortgage Queen.
Hello.
Mortgage Queen. She don't need no introduction. She the fourth host.
Right.
Yeah. She just be gone all the time. She just come back when she want.
Like who was that girl on the Breakfast Club? Is that
Yeah, Morgan, I think is her name. The girl who be doing news reports.
Okay.
But Erica's smarter.
Oh, it's all just hilarious.
Yeah. She don't be there that much, right?
She's starting to retire more. She
was
done with
pregnant.
pregnancy leave. Now her and Lauren are kind of, I don't know what they're doing. They like flip-flopping, sharing a little bit, filling each other's gaps.
I'm the most. I'm the return guest that has been here the most, right?
You are fourth member.
Okay.
It ain't even close.
Honorary.
You ain't even no host no more.
Okay. All right.
We jumped you in.
Maybe like three times, maybe. Somebody else.
Free money again. We done this free money because they keep giving it out. So I wanted to talk about or get the updates on the new first generation down payment assistance program through MISHDA.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of information.
We're gonna listen.
Well, it's a lot.
Give us the. I seen something on Facebook. My cousin was telling me about some $25,000. Give me that answer. Give me that.
Okay.
Let's talk about how to qualify.
Okay, so here's my elevator speech. Right, here we go. The state of Michigan is giving $25,000 to first-generation homebuyers, meaning your parents cannot have owned a home within the last 3 years. You have to be a first-time buyer. You also need a 640 credit score, take a home buying class.
In person?
Face-to-face or virtually, so it's different than the $10,000. Okay? Max sales price $224,500. They will do checks on you and your parents. So there's a form that you have to fill out. So they're going to do a fraud check. So, no.
Can't lie.
You can't lie. It's too. We're doing a check. They're doing a check.
I got to ask this because everybody, again, Facebook world, Instagram's world, everybody, well, I ain't know my daddy. You don't have to
prove it. What if you're not on the birth certificate?
That's true, though?
Yeah, what if they're not on the birth certificate?
They have not given any guidance on that.
Okay.
It says specifically on the form, mother, dad, and their addresses, and they're going to do a search.
So you can put unknown.
We'll see.
If you got the same last name, I think you'd be in trouble. But I guess maybe if you didn't have your dad's last name, you got your mama's last name, that makes sense.
Are they asking for birth certificates?
No. So it's just a certification.
Right.
And then they're doing a check.
Okay.
So
you give your parents' name if you know both your parents.
Yeah.
And their address.
Yeah. Yep. So my first one went in today.
Okay.
I checked the funding and I made a mistake and looked at the pie wrong, so my heart almost dropped because I saw $425,000. I thought that's what was left. So I started freaking out like, oh my goodness, because this is statewide. This isn't just Detroit.
Right.
So the entire state has access.
80 counties.
So I'm like freaking out. And then I looked, I'm like, it's still $7.5 million.
Okay.
But 17 people have already reserved the money.
Right.
And it just came out, last week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, these, we're just getting too many opportunities.
So it was $8 million.
It's $8 million and it's dwindling quick. It's not, well, we can say it's free money because it's zero interest money, but it is a loan. It's a mortgage. So it's a silent second, and you pay back if you move, sell, or refi. So it does still have the same some of the same requirements as the traditional MISHDA, other than the first gen. The other part is you can't. So with the MISHDA, you were able to get the cash back if you put in over 1%. Not with this one. So,
structure your deals.
You got to structure your deals, which we are good at structuring. But there's no cash back. So over 1%.
Can you stack the money like you did with other programs?
Actually, you can.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
so
not with the 10,000.
not with the 10.
Right.
So national faith, yep, you can stack. In certain, ones you can stack, they
Right.
will, but not the states. No.
Right.
Coming from the same pot, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you say never owned a home, period, or is it a time frame?
It says within 3 years
Right. Okay.
for the parents.
For the parents.
Yeah.
So my mother had a home back in 2010, lost it in 2012, and
It's a go.
In Michigan, though. Owned a home in Michigan. Or
well,
owned a
just a home,
period.
period.
I think
Yeah,
they're
they gonna do.
gonna do a search. So I did bring the guidelines just because I
Okay.
figured you guys are gonna ask. But there is some type of fraud check that they're gonna do.
Okay.
So I think they're gonna be able to check it nationwide. Yeah.
Yeah, because once
So-
they had a parent's name and address, they'll be able to track. I mean, there's so
Mhm.
much data out there now.
Yeah.
You could tell somebody owned a home before.
But I was looking at some of the criteria, like the aged out of emancipated children and children that have aged out of foster care.
Yeah. So did they send you the fact sheet? Is that what you're looking at?
I'm looking. This is right off of the
site.
MISHDA website.
All right. So here it is. Eligible borrowers. So purchasing a mortgage premises will reside in the premises for as a primary, has had no ownership in another property during the last 3 years. One of the following must also apply. No parent of the borrower has had an ownership interest, and the borrower has aged out of foster care, and the borrower has become emancipated through a court order. Court order is required by Michigan law. So, yeah.
Meaning I divorced my parents when
Yep.
I was 16 or something
Yes.
like that. And
Yes.
I don't have nothing to do with them, even though they own a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now,
And-
what about a kid that's adopted and they're legal guardians?
That
own
is
the property?
considered a parent.
Okay.
Okay. So foster parents, step parents. Well, actually, no. Nope. Biological. I'm reading. That's why I brought the guidelines.
Okay.
Foster parents, step parents, and guardians are not considered parents for the purpose of this program.
All right.
Foster
So
parent, step
if
parent, guardian. That's different than an adopted
if
child.
your mom and your stepdad are married, but the house is in the stepdad's name, you still qualify.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Legal adoptive parent is considered a parent.
So I guess the idea is this is for because it's first generation, because usually the parents, if they pass or they created some wealth, they can pass that house or that down to the kids, whereas this is giving this generation a new start to home ownership.
You'd be surprised. There are a lot of first generation.
Oh, I know.
Home buyers. I was a little shocked, but yeah. And then I've got some elderly people. Obviously, their parents are deceased. They're taking advantage of the $25,000 as well.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So if their parents have been deceased for 10 years,
they qualify.
They qualify.
Yeah.
Even though they 67, 70, and their parents been deceased, and they can go
As long
out.
as they didn't own a house.
Oh, yeah, as long as they didn't own a house.
Yeah. So I saw somebody comment on Facebook like, "Oh, this is some mess. It's for migrants." And I'm sitting here saying like, don't discourage the people. It doesn't matter. If you fit the program, take advantage. And I mean, you're like we were talking about with the cities program, it's $25,000. You don't need $25,000 to buy,
Right.
You don't. So it's gonna work. You're gonna buy a house for $2,000 to $3,000.
You need to be a
Out of
citizen,
pocket.
though.
Out of pocket.
Cash out of pocket.
Cash out of pocket, $2,000 to $3,000. Interest rate is 6.6. I'm gonna
And
buy
that's lower.
down so much of
your
the
rate.
mortgage. Well, you
Right.
can't buy the rate down because it's
Can't.
fixed.
Oh,
With
it's fixed at
MISHDA.
the
MISHDA,
Yeah.
the
But
rate's
the
fixed.
mixture rate has been lower right now.
It's 6.6 now and 2.5.
It
But
could be
You can't buy it
9%
down
if
and
you
you
getting
can't get money back.
But if you're getting 25,000, you saving money in your pocket. So, because if you're buying a $200,000 house with your down payment and closing costs, you can use up quite a bit of that money.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't care if the rate was 7.5 or 8%.
Wait a minute. So are you saying so when you take the $25,000 and you don't have to put the minimum down, like you if you're buying $100,000 house or $200,000 house, you don't have to only do 3% conventional or 3.5%. You can do 10% or 15%.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
Yeah.
so you
same
could put
thing.
more than 20% down?
Yeah, so I'm a structurer. I'm a
Right.
numbers girl. So whatever is left over after
Right.
I've applied it towards the closing costs, I just take all of it and apply it to the loan amount.
Oh,
Yeah.
So most
Yeah.
of these deals, there is not max. They're somewhere in between 10, like you said, and 15% down, which is helping some of these loans get approved
Right.
that aren't because it's so much of a, the
crazy.
down
Yeah,
payment.
because then that makes the monthly payment lower.
It does. Yeah.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why I said if someone did have a little bit higher interest rate, it
Who
would.
cares?
Right.
And you can go up in price too. So it's the same thing like the city program.
Right.
Yeah, I only want the payment to be $1,000. Okay, that's about $120,000 house.
Right.
But if I got another $15,000, I'm bumping that approval up to $135
Mhm.
just to give them a little bit more
But it helps them
Space.
house, just a little bit. Yeah.
it helps the buyer too who can't find anything in that lower price point. So I couldn't find anything for under 125, but I saw some stuff for around 140, 150.
Hold on. Okay. So the house has to appraise though.
So same as the other programs. I mean, well, yes and no, but you have to come up with the difference. You can't use
Oh,
that
okay.
25,000 to do a guaranteed
But
or
if you
or
saving
go
your
over.
own money, you might have the difference.
You might have the difference.
Right.
You might have the difference. So this is the opportunity. Like refunds are hitting.
That's a
Yeah.
damn.
I mean, it's
some tax
I'm
refund.
just to the point where after seeing so many programs over the years, I just realized some people just don't want to own a home. And when I see them online saying, "Well, you never really own the house anyway," the bank do. I'm like, you never really own a rental property. The
Ever.
landlord do. Like, you gonna pay taxes whether you pay it direct or through your landlord. Like, somebody's paying the same expenses and usually it's you.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just either you paying your landlord or you paying it direct.
100% interest.
Yeah.
So look, so young lady called today, fear. She's got 7,670 credit score, fearful, 33-year-old. And I'm sitting here and I just cut into she wasn't really telling me the reason why she didn't want to buy. I just want to know, how this goes. I said, what you're experiencing now is fear.
Right.
This is nothing but fear. It's real estate. It's going to appreciate. If you don't like the house, if homeownership isn't for you, move out in a year, sell it,
Right.
rent it out, Section 8 it out, Airbnb it out, border it out, do something with it, right? And then go buy a condo.
And make sure you claim the border income on your tax.
That's
Remember
what I'm
we talked
saying.
about that.
Claim it on your income, right? Claim it there. So, and I'm saying it really doesn't. It doesn't matter because if you go on a rent, I'm like, these. What I was on here like last week talking about how the owners are just increasing the rent just because they want to, or because they think the value is going up in the neighborhood, or the value has went up, and they just like, you know what, rent's going up $200, and you're either gonna pay that or leave.
Well, the rent is also a byproduct of a result of the values going up because it costs more to own that property as an investment property. The property taxes, the cost to buy it, the cost to rehab, rent. So I have to raise rent as a landlord.
Right, whether they want to or it's it's
right.
It makes sense or not. The point is you're not in a stable situation.
You're in
so
trouble.
right now I'm dealing with all of these renters that are trying to drive me crazy because they have to leave in 30 days.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to renew the lease or they can't afford it. And I'm just like, okay, so are we buying? Are we going to buy this time? So, I mean, I'm live, guys. So here's the thing. We got 25,000, 2 rounds that we had with the city. A lot of people weren't able to take advantage. Now we got another 25, and it's just as sweet. And I don't know how long these programs are going to be around. Reggie and I have been in this business for at least 30 years. We've never seen anything like this.
No, I ain't never.
So
I never seen more than that 15 at one point in time and
And normally
7,500.
Mr. runs out of funds. I've
Yeah.
never seen him be around for this long, me personally.
We were hit the hardest. So it was called like Michigan hit the hardest or something when they
Right.
first came out with it. Like, I don't understand, man.
They're
Get your
trying to do everything they can so you can't claim
Here-
gentrification.
Here's what.
Get
Here's
you
what.
a house.
I'm gonna tell. I watch a lot of. It's some people on YouTube, the eviction court, and I watched the. It's one bailiff that come out. He got the cop camera on, and every time he go to them houses, it's like the same story. And I'm like, the landlord controls your life. Let's be honest. You miss one payment with a landlord, you in trouble. You miss 3 or 4 payments with your mortgage company, you got some time.
You do.
That's just the reality of it. So.
And then you have the option. So that was one situation. Another situation, this is the first time in my career I've got a first payment default, a client that never made a payment. And I just thought to myself, wow, you brought $1,000 to the table.
That's why.
Yeah.
And you didn't make not one payment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her, I said, well, we can restart foreclosure proceedings. I said, you were in a rental situation, so you know what it's like to have to move. We're getting ready to start foreclosure proceedings. And it is really no reason that we should even be here. You should have
Right.
at least called. But there are options out here. If you don't like it, if you can't afford it, just sell it.
Yeah.
And get your money or break even. But there's other options to do with the house. And so nobody's having an excuse now. 640 credit score is not good credit. Okay? It is fair credit. It's fair. It's not even good. So you just need fair credit, $2,000, 22, 23, and a home buying course and some income.
Yeah. I just
Come on,
think some
Michigan,
people
come
just
on.
I just think some people just don't want the responsibility, and we can't force it on them. But the average person that's renting long term, that's been renting 5 or 6 years, they really need to consider buying a home.
Yeah.
Especially with all the options out here, because by the time you figure it out, it's too late.
It is.
Like, people keep saying, I'm waiting for the market to crash. And I'm like, you lying, because when it crashed, you wasn't buying a house then.
See?
Right? So it's like...
Did y'all do a show on that? Because that's what I said.
Yeah.
If you were around when it crashed, we weren't lending.
Right.
Houses weren't appraising.
And people didn't have jobs to buy
And you didn't have a job. You definitely didn't have no money or the cash. So if it crashed, do you have $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to cash out on one of these houses? Because you don't. So, I mean, I understand it, but we were there.
Yeah.
Rosedale Grandma was appraising for $75,000. I remember
less than that.
I remember, look, in 2010, a deal came on, and I'm like, was wondering. It was the first deal I had saw in Detroit because we were doing deals in other states. And so I'm like, okay, and it was $75,000 in it appraised. I said, oh, wow. Are we going to do this deal?
We're on our way back.
We on our way. Okay, okay.
Here.
They didn't red line or anything.
Yeah.
I was excited, like 75. They're waiting on that 75, 85. But
It ain't gonna
the guidelines will tighten up if another situation like that happens. They already tightened
I was
up.
about to say, they already tightened the shit out of the guidelines.
Right.
They can't, what the hell they gonna do? They can't do no more.
And the recession already happened.
Yeah,
it already happened during COVID when you was at 2%. Yeah. So when you was at 2%, that was equivalent to a lower sales price because you're paying way less for $300,000 to $100,000 house. So you already had your recession and you missed out at then too. When do we do for another one? 20 years? 15 more years?
I mean, them people that's putting their 1% down, only paying $500 to $1,000, and they keep on. If they start not paying their mortgages, and then what was that person's mortgage amount monthly?
So I had to look, okay, because I was
like, why ain't you paying this?
My heart was just a little hurt, but I said, yeah, it's okay. It was no more than $140,000. So the note was probably it was like 11.
With taxes.
It was taxes and insurance. And I looked and I was so disappointed because
$1,100. So principal, interest, taxes, and insurance total
Yeah.
ish.
So,
So
but
under $1,200 though, we can safely say it was under $1,200.
Where-
And you know, I don't want to beat nobody down that's having any hardships because you know we go through things, but finding rents under $1,200 right now for a nice house or
You in a
decent-
2-bedroom flat.
yeah, I
Look,
mean, but then the
yeah, and I
people
do.
that
I have
regret
tenants
it,
like
yeah,
sending me, you know, like listings, and it'll be like, "Oh, I really like this house," and it'll, you know, price on it somewhere between $1,200 and $1,400, and I'm
Right.
like, "Do you see that's a 2-family flat?" "Oh no, I don't want a flat."
right.
That's where you at.
Well, here's
1,200.
the thing too. In this particular situation, sometimes we got to realize like some people had a bad, like a bad social situation or a relationship situation, or it could have been domestic violence or something like that, where she was just like, "Forget this house. I need to get out of this situation." Right. But we don't know
Mm-hmm.
what happened in that situation. But those things will occur. But it's like, again, how do you overcome that fear
Look,
before something even happens? Well, I'm big on don't buy a house with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think about all of that in advance. Like, think about your whole entire life, not just, oh, I just want to go out and buy a house.
so I had a tenant contact me, and this person, they want to be in a certain price point. I believe it's same like under $1,400 or something like that. And the area that they keep sending is like your East English area, so houses that's gonna be around the 200 to probably 250 price point. And so when the person was sending the list over, I'm like, I noticed that one of the houses was a rehab and ready house on the Detroit Land Bank. And so I spoke to the person and I said, "Well, this area, like you really seem to like this area. You really seem to like this block in particular. Um, but finding the rents that you want to pay in this area on this block, I don't think you're gonna find it. However, there is a rehab and ready house. And Detroit Land Bank, you know, they're offering 20%. And then I believe you can stack the grant. I don't know if you, because it's a national faith. So it's Detroit Land Bank. I think I was just telling you this. Detroit Land Bank through National Faith. There, you have to be in the income range. I think they're at 120% of the AMI. And I'm like, if you qualify, you have 20% from the land bank, potentially at least $10,000 in other down payment assistance that I can think of. And then
Or the 25,000.
or the 25,000
Right.
if
Ooh,
you
that's a
meet
lot.
those. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could probably reasonably get into the area that you want to be in for a reasonable price monthly if you were to even consider it. And he's like, "Oh, well, I just want to wait another." I hear what you're saying. I just want to wait though. Like a year.
Yeah.
Because he think it's gonna crash. You spending
I don't think it's gonna
$1,800
crash.
in rent. So in those areas, you spend like 18 to at least 1,800 a month,
Right.
right? And he want to get over there for 12 to 1,400.
Right.
So listen here. This is I don't get it. I don't get it. Okay, so you
I
wait.
get it.
No.
I
Here's the
understand
thing.
why
So
they don't.
okay, so you're gonna wait a year. The prices are increasing. Okay, that's number one. And when you're talking about down payment assistance, there are so let's say we were to stack the National Faith and the MISHA and it's FHA or conventional. I got 3 different guidelines that I have to try to fit you into, right? So while FHA is, for instance, 55% or 56 point whatever, National Faith is only 35%, right? Just look.
Yep.
So the top ratio, which is the mortgage, is
Right.
only 35% max. Depending on which program, it might be 31%. Okay. And then if I stack MISHA, the bottom ratio can only be 44%. So, and then you got the income that you got to meet for National Faith. So MISHA is a lot more lenient when it comes to,
Yeah.
right? But the National
National
Faith
Faith is like, come
it's
on,
like
bro.
low.
Like how you
It's
right.
really like low income. So it's hard to meet all, so it's like you
Right.
keep waiting, and it's like just my thing is like, this is why I'm doing the videos, and I'm gonna keep getting more, deeper and deeper. I'm going this little easy stuff, and I'm gonna go a little deeper later. Like, you have to start putting yourself in a position to buy, because the programs are here. We don't know how long they're gonna be here, but if you don't start somewhere, like everybody I talked to this week, I did a lot of calls yesterday and today, but can you just start it?
Yeah.
Because you are going to be pushed out of Detroit. I'm telling you
Or
now.
at least start getting educated.
Well-
like the people who won't even make the phone call to the lender. So you got to think, we're probably directing traffic. So if someone calls me, I'm like, oh, call my homegirl Erica or whoever. Just have the conversation. Even if you want to start in a year, you still need to know where you're going.
You got to know, like you getting on the bus, like where we going? You need to start somewhere. I mean, anything. I feel like I'm like this motivational speaker now, right? I'm just this therapist and motivational speaker. I'm like this. Anything you put your mind to, you will achieve. There's nothing nobody ever said I'm about to do. I'm about to get that, and it didn't happen. So if your credit is messed up, just start small. You know what I'm saying? Start negotiating, start deleting, start disputing. The I can get your credit fixed in 3 to 6 months. Hey, that's a lie. Where the camera at? Put me on camera. That's a lie. Okay, because it's not true. So, you got to start somewhere. You got to save some money. Is in the cash. Misha is real funny about them deposits. Right. They're a little bit more, they look at what you're doing. So the cash ain't working, the Zales, the Cash App, the Venmos.
I asked my son before we left. He wants to buy a house. I said, "Is your money still in the bank?" No. Where's your money at? Do you still have the money? Yeah. How much money do you have? He said, hold on. He said, I got a good amount. I just turned my chair around. Like, look here. You got something that you're trying to do. I'm asking you questions about this money. Like,
I'm the professional. I'm your mother, and you not telling me what's going on.
And then so finally he says, about $1,500. And I'm like, you cannot. I didn't even talk about the good amount. I just, left that alone. But I'm like, you can't have it. What do you mean? It's you. Where is it? In your pocket?
$1,500 is what he had.
Yeah,
that was the good amount.
Yeah, and so no idea. I said, okay, for where you're trying to be at, we talk about 85,000. Rule of thumb, 10%, 8,500. That would be a good amount. But whatever, for what you're trying to do, 1,500 is fine. But it cannot be in your pocket.
I got a good situation. I can give a scenario that happens. Young kids buying a house in Inkster. So people that's scared, they can hear this story, right? Young kids, the girl was probably like 18 then. Her boyfriend was probably 20. They bought a house in Inkster.
They're coming back.
There. They bought a house, but I'm talking about, to what she's saying. So they bought a house in Inkster. They probably bought the house for like $80,000. Was able to negotiate a deal where they came with very minimal, whatever the least you can come with, the 1%, I guess. So then they, I didn't talk to them for about a year or whatever. Then they came, they was losing their house. They called me back maybe about a year later. They was in foreclosure. And it's like, okay, y'all in foreclosure. They panicking. They thinking it's over. We about to get out of here.
Right.
I'm like, no, just relax. You haven't even went to the sheriff's sale yet. Then you have your redemption period as well.
Right.
We're going to sell the house. What happened is they got behind on their water, a crazy amount. Something happened with their water. They had damn near like a $7,000 water bill that was added to their taxes.
Yeah.
And anyway, so they in foreclosure. But we was able to sell that house for like $130,000 or something.
Yeah,
$130,000. So they not only did they not lose their house, they put around $25,000 in their pocket.
Right.
And that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And now they back again, ready to buy
Yeah.
again.
Okay, look, yeah.
You know
So,
what I'm saying?
it didn't go into foreclosure, right?
Right.
1 year.
Yep.
Let those lates go season off a year,
Yep.
and you back in the game.
Yep.
And they got money
You
in
back
their
in the
pocket.
game.
And they got money in their pocket.
Like
all
my-
because they bought. But if they would have rented, and they were scared, they didn't want to. They wanted to rent, but I kind of forced them. They was to buy. But that's what they need. That's what people kind of need. They kind of need that guidance because they are scared. They don't know no
Yeah.
better. You know
Or
what I
they're
mean?
embarrassed. Like some people wouldn't even have called you back.
They just scared. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they just scared of being denied. They've been denied or told no. They just
Right.
scared. It's like, okay, even if we say Eric has a saying that I like, he'd be like, it's not if you're gonna buy a house, but when you're gonna buy a house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what I always say to everybody now. It's like,
Right.
yeah, I don't know if you're ready right now, but we can get you ready.
Yeah, but some people, so you got a couple types of people. You got people that think like, oh, it's programs out there or it's none for me, but they don't want to do the work. Like, this is your credit score. This is what you got to do to get it up to 640. Then the doors open up for you. Then you got people that's going to do everything you tell them, but then they just, I'm not ready right now, or I don't see anything I like. Then you got people, it's been their dream since they was younger to own a home. So they already out here, and those the people that win.
Yeah.
So we just got to know, like, some people just don't want to make that move and we can't force it on.
But when you do make the move, the scary
we can
move,
educate them.
you always, I have not seen anybody lose. I'm trying to think of a scenario where somebody bought the house and they lost. How do you lose? Not in this market.
Wait, I'm going to tell you the truth. You don't lose. The bank does.
Right.
Yeah.
When you think about it, let's think about actual numbers, right? If I buy a house with $1,000 out of pocket and it's a $150,000 home, I didn't pay $150 for it. The
No.
bank paid $149. So if I lose that house 3 years later, what did I actually lose?
Nothing.
Right?
Exactly. So I'm
Some
trying to
damage
think
to my credit, I rebound from that in several years and I'm back in the game.
only way you can lose now is with them people that was putting out a lot of
The appraisal guarantees.
Yeah.
They in trouble. Or they could be if they lose now.
Because that kind of ended. We need to do a show on that. But anyways, Erica, what do we need to let people know before we wrap this up?
How to contact me, of course. I mean, they can call me. I set up my link so they can book a consultation for free.
Look.
Or they can fill out the app. You
know what you need? Your logo should be a bunch of Legos and it should have like each program on it and you just stacking them on top of each other.
I like that.
Stacking the
cute.
money. They should be dollar bill Legos and you just stacking them all up.
That's going to be my...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Hold on. That loan never goes away. So as long as you own the house, you got to pay it back. There's no amount of years.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just on
The
the back, man.
$25,000.
I mean, if
It's
you,
just on the
yeah,
back.
if you sell, refi,
Period.
or move, then it's due.
Yeah.
But yeah, my number is 313-693-5643. I mean, I can't post my link here, but I mean, I got
Give
links.
it to Reggie. He
Yeah.
can post your link.
We'll post it on
You
the
post it,
link in the description.
link for
Right.
the
Look.
consultation.
Right.
And then there's a link for the app. I mean, we do a soft pull, so as soon as you complete the app, the credit score pops up. Is nothing to be afraid of if your credit is not where it needs to be.
Like
Just-
all them people that was scared to fill out mortgage applications because it was going to be a hard pull and it was going to damage the credit so bad. Now they're doing softs.
Okay, we're doing softs, and for the folks that just want to keep thinking inquiries, you can get your credit pulled 100 times with a mortgage company. It's gonna count as one. They changed it, so in the inquiry only accounts for 10% of your credit score. It does nothing, literally, and most times pulling your credit doesn't hurt the score anyway. It really it don't do nothing. So
is that different just because the mortgage industry, they know people are shopping for rates?
and autos did
programs?
the auto industry did the same thing.
But
Okay.
auto is if you actually close. I think with auto, when they pull, don't quote me, y'all, but when they pull, it is inquiry after inquiry, hard pull. But when you actually close and buy that car,
Right.
then
They convert it to just one
Exactly.
inquiry. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, these inquiries, it don't hurt as much. Paying your bills on time. and not paying your bills on time. That's what hurts. Okay, so not an inquiry. So, go ahead and take the chance and apply with me or whoever. I mean, I prefer me, but if not, apply, see where the score is, and then just slowly work on it. I mean, all of us have been in a situation, me included. We're facing bankruptcy. I filed bankruptcy. I've had a repo. My credit score has been at 500 twice in my life, but I'm well over the sevens now, right? I mean, I'm just saying we've all had problems, but all you got to do is start. You know what I'm saying? It ain't that hard. You know what I'm saying? It just and then don't get back in the debt. And once you clean it up, learn your lesson, and just keep your little 2-3 cars and keep it at a minimum, and let's rock and roll.
That's a wrap.
Well.